back, everybody, to Fast Times, LeBeaus Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Smith, and today I have co-hosts David and Dylan LeBeaus and special guest Rick Harris.
Thanks for having me back.
Special birthday guest.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Turned 37 today, I heard.
36.
36. Apologies. I thought it was...
Reverse it.
Okay. Rick Harris Racing.
That's just like Dylan to push it. You know, he's pushing things.
His memory's about as good as mine, so we're even.
So it's been a while, but we're going to kind of combine 2 weeks' worth in one podcast here.
Right.
So let's first talk about what happened a couple weeks ago, Beefy's debut. So, Rick, you ended up purchasing Beefy.
Yes.
Which is a Sportsman.
Correct.
And David and Dylan been working on it. I guess you've been working on it.
Not much.
Not much? You try not to?
Yeah. They don't need my talents.
So what brought you to that point that you decided to buy Beefy?
Well, when I first started hanging around with them, we ran a couple of nights with the Sportsman. And it reminded me of the old time cars that we ran on dirt back home. Back in the late 80s, a friend of mine at the chemical plant had a dirt car, and that was the same body style they had.
Okay.
I always said, well, it'd be nice to have one. We joked about it, and things started happening. We found one at a good price. We found a motor at a good price. I knew I had a good guy to turn the wrenches on it. So it just happened.
So the joke turned into a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Here we are.
Carrie called it my midlife crisis. So. I didn't buy a Corvette or a Harley or anything like that. I bought race cars.
Well, you're just a step above everybody else there, I think.
Depends who you talk to, but yes.
Well, we got really lucky with that car. I mean, it's a really great car, a left-hander with a stock clip, and it's got really good bones. You know, the body was a little bit beat up on it, but when our friend Mark and Eddie Evans was the one that ended up with it, who we actually purchased it from, correct?
Oh, okay.
Mark went and kind of bird dogged it and said, hey, Eddie's got a really good looking Sportsman over here. You might want to take a look at it. And we kind of knew the car from the short tracks, and we knew it had good bones, and we went over and took a look at it. It was straight, had all the right pieces, and the price was reasonable, and so I said, "Yeah, we could get in this, and it wouldn't take too much to get it going." And we were right, you know. And it's we kind of know what springs and shocks we need to run. Well, the shocks are pretty much you have to run what, unless you're going to run an extra 100 pounds, and which nobody wants to really do that. So the shocks are out of the equation. You know what you need to run. The springs. If you've been around racing enough at New Smyrna, you kind of know where to go. And you ask a few people, and you get a few different answers. But you know, between Brian Finney and Bobby Blake and what we've known from the E-Mons, we had a pretty good idea. Yeah. You know, because the car really wasn't that much heavier.
No.
Than
very similar to an E-Mod, the Sportsman are.
Yeah, but the cool factor is skyrocketing higher. I mean, it's a cool car, and like Rick was saying, with the Outlaw body on it, makes it really nice.
So it looks a lot bigger, but it really isn't, right? It's just
the
body.
You'd have to ask Dylan, because he drove it. The last time I drove a Sportsman was when Ron Lefsey, we did a tribute to my friend that passed away, and once you get, for me, and you can answer this when I'm done. For me, I don't really notice a difference. I get out there, I find my distance between me and the wall, and I just race.
Yeah.
So take it from there.
To me, a car's a car kind of thing. I've gone from a open wheel modified to a 3,400-pound stock car at Daytona, and you kind of just know, you know, like I scraped the wall a little bit in the heat race, just trying to get what I could get from it, but you kind of like, you can hear how the exhaust tone changes, and you kind of just know where the car is.
Right.
So
initially, even though it fills up our trailer,
it fills it up.
It fills up the trailer. It's really not much different
Yeah.
to drive. Did it drive different than your E-Mod or?
It had its differences. The main difference is it just drives straight down the straightaway and not really wants to wander, just due to aerodynamics, being that it's got a full nose, a full body.
Yeah, that is a big.
The only other full body cars I've ever driven were a Bomber and a Pro Truck, and those have the same aerodynamics of a mailbox. So.
Right. Okay, so this is more of a wedge type thing.
Yes, yeah. The car is built. The body's built for aerodynamics, and you get that with a modified, but you also have these fenders where air's running down the body and running through your wheels. Where now all this air's for kind of the air knows what it's doing now, and not just kind of scattering where it wants.
Right, but for your first time, I know my expectations of that car was just get out there, see what's going to fall off this thing.
Yeah.
And, it's not that we didn't check every nut and bolt over and over again. But you just never know. Yeah. You really don't know. The rear end was untested. The transmission was untested. The engine was untested. The radiator was untested, which we want to thank Prater for the radiator. Thank you very much. And it worked beautifully.
Yeah, coolest car I've ever driven.
Worked beautifully. But we never tested it. So basically, he had to roll out on a practice and go ahead and get to the gas as quickly as he not be in the way.
Yeah.
And everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah, we was lucky y'all got a chance to test it a little bit Friday.
Yeah, that Friday.
Before the rain, that helped a bunch.
Yeah, we had an open practice, but the open practice rained short, so we only had 2 sessions that Friday. And the first session was me just figuring out where the gas pedal and stuff is. And
you sit way lower.
Yeah.
Do you not?
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at you in the car and I couldn't even really see you. All I could see was that the fenders.
Yeah. So the car sits really low, but once it gets on track and the nose drops down, I can see fine. But driving through the pits, I can't really see that good. So hopefully no kids run out in front of me.
Watch out.
So you guys had testing on that Friday, and that was really the first time actually on the track, right?
Yes, literally that was
That's the first that's cars. What's the sticker on it? 2019, 2018?
Yes.
Yeah. The first that's car's been on track since then.
And I think that car, I don't think it's run New Smyrna. It was more of a short track car, so we had to pull everything out of it.
Yeah.
The steering box, the steering shaft.
Yeah.
The steering shaft was all bent up.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like someone tried to get the box off and just screwed up the shaft. But anyways, that had to come out. All the springs, the shocks. The only thing we really left in the car was the body and the frame itself and the rear end.
Yeah.
The gear, of course, there wasn't a gear in it when we got it, so we had to have our buddy Ron Adams build us a gear for it, and then Mark gave us another gear to have it for a secondary, just in case we weren't sure what gear to run. So, it completely... Literally everything on that car was untested for him to get in it and get a few laps in it. And of course, right off the rip, if you want to take it from there, you weren't really happy with. I think you were happy with the drive, but weren't happy with the steering.
Yeah, first session, we went out and the car the steering wheel felt loose. Like I can just drive it with my finger like this, and so we came in. And I said it feels like it's got no caster.
Which is uncomfortable as a race car
It
driver.
makes you you can't really feel where your tires are. You can't feel what your tires are doing.
Right.
And so, luckily we were able to make some changes to that.
Right. Well, the first thing that I said to Dylan is we'll have to add caster to it and try to get it to where you can feel it, because caster gives you the feel for the wheel. Now you can buy these high-dollar steering boxes that they're valved in a certain way that gives you more feel, but I think he's getting more comfortable with the way the petty cars feel. There's a lot of input in the box, input in the wheel that he can. So I know exactly what he was feeling. That is terrible to drive. I don't like driving a car like that. So right away we went right into trying to put some caster into it. And he went into the next test session and it got better.
Yeah, the steering got better, but now we were coming into handling woes.
Right.
And we were a little bit snug off the rib.
Right.
And so
we won't say too much about what we did for there, but we adjusted on that and got it better. We had some great help.
Yes.
We want to thank Bobby Blake for being on the phone and helping us. We want to thank Brian Finney, and we want to thank Chad Pierce. Those three guys were key and we had the right. I think we were going in the right direction. But it's always nice to someone come in that does this on a day-to-day and tell you, yeah, that's the
Yeah, we
direction
took a
you
pretty
need to
big
go.
swing at it when we changed it.
Right.
Yeah, another person I think is the Clements Racing Pro Late 17C for the front end shims.
Yes, I mean they helped out. Normally we're the parts truck. Everybody comes to us for stuff. Mr. Clemens and his son in the 17 Pro Late, they came in key because we didn't have any front end shims to start adjusting on it for that particular day. So they came in and helped us out. So we want to thank them very much.
So question for Rick real quick. So now you are a car owner. So what did that feel like? I mean, did you feel any kind of pressure? Like, oh man, what am I doing?
Not until after the race was over. I was too busy before doing stuff. I had to spot for him since Jay wasn't there at night.
Right.
And it was all, for me, it was all fun.
Right.
There was 2 what ifs. What if we done good? What if we done bad?
Right.
We done both.
So in general, you felt good though,
Oh, yeah.
being that it was in David's hands.
Yeah. I knew I had the right guy turning wrenches, right guy behind the wheel.
Right.
And she wasn't the prettiest girl at the dance, but she had a good time.
Well, I made sure that all the key points were taken care of. So when you know those key points, then you can't control everything. You can't control the engine. I didn't build the engine. I didn't build the rear end. I didn't build the transmission. So you just have to kind of just go on chance at that point. But I knew Dylan was going to give it all he had, and this is probably first or second, maybe the second time that he's had to shake a car down from scratch. I think he had to shake the 75 down.
Which again, I had to be rushed when I did that because we only had one practice session. So
Yeah. And then this car, and then Beefy, basically, that had to be kind of pushed. And then I had to come up with a plan, like right now, to fix this sucker. So, and we took a big swing at it, like Rick said. We took a big swing, and then there was no heat. Was there a heat race?
Well, we're going to get into Saturday.
The heat, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
come Saturday, I go to back out for practice, and I got no clutch pedal.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Like, I can't get this thing in reverse.
Yes, so
my clutch
we
pedal's
lost
bouncing off the floor.
Yes, so we lost the release bearing.
Yeah.
The release bearing. Every time Dylan pushed the clutch in, he's pouring fluid out of the release bearing. So basically, he had to start the car in gear because he had no. I could bleed it and give him a little.
I could get enough to get in reverse and get out, but once I got out of reverse and tried to push it back in,
the cylinder is literally that high. So you figure you push the clutch in 2 or 3 times and it's out of fluid.
Yeah.
So we told Dylan, go ahead and just start it in gear, and so he was already handicapped from the get-go. I'm glad you reminded me of that because I told him.
I knew that.
Because coming to practice, I started it in gear and then was able to shift it back just with no clutch, just kind of grind the gear a little bit and get it back. I did it once in practice. We missed second practice. Went out for the heat race and did it again fine.
Right.
In the heat race, we started outside pole. We were still struggling a little bit with handling at that point, and I think I shuffled back to 3rd or 4th.
But still respectable.
Yeah, we weren't in the way by any means.
What do you have, like 8 laps on the car?
Yeah, I got 8 laps total on the car, and so you got to start outside pole. And so I shuffled back to 3rd or 4th, and this is also one of the first times this year we've had to deal with 2 heat races. That's another thing. This was a high car count race. I believe there was 19 cars.
Right. It was stout car count.
Stout competition, and all good cars too. Yep. I don't recall lapping a car the entire race.
Right.
So fall back to 3rd or 4th in the heat, and then come the invert for the feature, and I'm scheduled to start 3rd. So we make a huge change.
That's when we made the change, and that's when I got nervous. I was fixing to say something
ready
crazy.
to go.
I got nervous. I'm looking over at Dylan going, do you want to start in the back on this deal? Or
and I was saying no. I wanted to go because
we made a big swing at it, and most drivers would not have done that. I can tell you this from experience. Most drivers, the changes we made for Dylan, and I'm not going to tell you the changes, but most drivers would not have started where he started because it was a pretty wholesale change.
Yeah,
it was a big one.
And
so, he starts right up there.
Well, I was scheduled to, but we're coming to take green, and I go to shift it back,
and it won't go in gear.
It won't go. It's just grinding.
And I'm yelling, just goose it and jam it in gear.
And I'm trying everything.
And it will not go.
Eventually, after all
Yes.
19 cars pass me, I get it into gear, and I'm hauling ass down the back straight
And
trying to catch him.
We want to thank you for not waiting for Dylan to get back in his spot.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You could have waited. We've waited for so many other drivers.
Yeah.
But anyways, we didn't wait for Dylan. They
People
started him in the rear.
some people thought I was trying to drop to the rear, but
Right.
that was not the case.
No.
I wanted to start third, but
Yes.
you
Maybe
could-
it was a blessing.
I think it
might
was.
have been.
I think it was.
It let us get some valuable laps in traffic on the
Yeah.
car rather than
Because-
just being right in the hornet's nest.
Because when you pass those guys from the back, and you pass them, there's no doubt about you're faster than
Yeah.
them. So now they know the pecking order stuff, and we'll talk about more about that as we move on.
Well, you looked really good out there with it.
Thank you.
And, I mean, it was just, nothing aggressive, just smooth
No,
driving.
just making his moves.
Yeah, just one at a time.
Taking them one at a time, and I say it on the radio to him, which I try not to talk too much to him. I let Rick and Jay do most of the talking. But I said, listen, it's just time to go to work. Put your start chopping wood. I call it chopping wood. It's just going to work.
Right.
And he did. He went from last, I guess, 19th
19th, yeah.
to 4th.
4th or 3rd was our highest.
Yeah.
3.5.
3.5.
We'll call it-
I was 3rd
Three
for
and
a
a
second, yeah.
3.5.
We were 3rd for a little bit, and ran 3rd for a little bit. Kind of shuffled back to the 4th and was battling for a top 5 at one point.
Right.
And at that point, had a little bit of a traffic
Well,
jam and got
yeah,
turned around.
Racing got tough. And it becomes
It
all
was- yeah,
take.
we were within 5 to go. Or at
Yeah,
lap
it
20 or
becomes
something
all
like
take
that.
and no give at that point. And somebody cleared themselves across your nose. You gave them a break, and someone got behind you, and
Yeah.
I was unhappy with what happened. But it wasn't that person's fault
Yeah.
that got into you. They couldn't stop, and
And they apologized to me.
yeah, and it's over with.
Yeah.
It was a racing deal. I feel bad about going over there and talking to the car owner, but I'm passionate,
Yeah.
and that's the way I'm going to be.
In
So
your angle of it, you probably
in my
couldn't see
angle,
it.
I didn't see.
Yeah.
I didn't see everything. So it's over with and done with. It's a racing deal. But at that point, with 4 to go or 5 to go, there's no give anymore. It's all take. So I can understand that in the heat of battle, and so we'll move on from that. But
Still had a great run. with the car.
amazing run.
And after getting spun out, I couldn't get back into.
No,
into
you
high
could
gear,
not
yeah.
get it. We completely lost high gear at that point. You would have had to start it. You'd have had to have been possibly push started in high gear,
But,
which
yeah.
probably could have tore up more stuff in the
Yeah.
process. So he struggled with it. So anyways, the transmission's coming out. It's going to go get rebuilt.
Getting
I'm
released,
sure the
right?
input shaft is completely cleaned off. Because if you watch the in-car video, you can hear him just grinding away. He's like grinding.
You're getting mad at that point, huh?
Yeah, I broke the shifter actually trying to pull back on it so hard.
So, but overall, we're very pleased with
Yeah,
with,
to go from untested car to running a feature and going 19th to 4th,
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything to.
Yeah,
put
I
our
mean,
heads down
you had to
on
earn
that,
it.
yeah.
There was a few cars that dropped out in front of you, but you had to earn
Yeah.
every position. And so, to me, that was that sings
With a car
volumes.
that's built on a fraction of the budget on the rest of those
Oh,
cars,
God.
yeah.
I can't even imagine what those top 3 cars are spending. They've got to be in the $50,000 range. And I don't know, Rick, you may not even want to tell them because they probably won't tonight. You have to beep that out. They probably won't sleep tonight when they find out how much we got in that car.
Yeah, They got more in the body than we got in the car.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say that.
So, they knew
Yeah.
we were there, and we can tell in the pits that we've arrived.
Yeah.
There's a different atmosphere with our people that are in the pits, and I can tell it. I don't know if you can tell it,
tell it, yeah.
But that's the way it is. If you want to have a friend at racing, bring a dog.
That's what Bobby says. Yeah,
You know,
if you want a friend at the racetrack, bring a dog.
We're not out there trying to make friends. We're not going to put you on the Christmas list. And we're not going to be on yours. We understand that. We're there to race, and race clean and race hard. And
it was a great, all in all, it was a great learning experience for me.
absolutely
to race in a field of that many good cars. And
Well, speaking of which, and I asked Rick, how he felt about everything. So, new car, you're driving for somebody else now
Again, yeah.
How did you feel going out? Because I had a few people ask me, "Is Dylan nervous?"
I wasn't really nervous. I was just, I've always wanted to race a Sportsman. The Sportsmans are a cool division. There's so many of them. So like Jordan was saying, it looked like you're going so fast. We're really not. But it just so many cars. It's kind of like racing E-mods. We're only racing 6, 7 cars, maybe 10 on a good day. Where Sportsmen bring 19 on just a regular 25-lap show. So it's kind of like I've been kind of preparing for that. So I wouldn't say I was nervous. I'm just excited.
So the difference is the engines are basically the same between the
exactly
E-mods and
pretty much the exact same drivetrain as what E-mod should be. But
so you were talking about speed and looking faster.
That's a whole other podcast.
Don't start that.
You're talking about speed and looking faster and stuff like that. Is it really about the same speed?
We were actually in that Sportsman race going slower than a fast E-mod pace.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So very similar, if not the same speed. Some nights Sportsman will be a little faster, but I think track conditions raining the night before kind of slowed us down a little
Right.
bit. So pretty much the same speed. So it's not like I was getting into something faster where I felt out of my comfort zone.
Right. Just a little different.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we did have a special advantage.
What's that?
Chrome wheels.
Wheels,
race
yeah.
on, baby.
Rick loves chrome
The
wheels.
old school back.
Well, maybe if you had all 4 of them, Chrome.
Yeah, might have finished the race.
We might have finished, but
It was a great time.
It
was
was.
a good
I had
learning
fun.
experience. He apologized like crazy when he couldn't get started at first.
I felt so bad because I was like, man,
he
y'all
said-
worked so hard.
he said on the radio, I'm so sorry, guys. He said, listen, just put it out of your mind. You're in gear now. Just go to work.
It's
Just
the best
go to
test
work.
session we could ask for.
And I don't know if you know it, but you should have seen the grin on that guy's face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was.
As soon as he
happy.
started the motor, I grinned before it ever got to the track. So,
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
that was a good night.
yeah, it was.
yeah. We won't call it a win, but it was very successful for what we were trying to do with what we're trying to do it with, and it just shows you that a small team with the right information from the right people can and the right driver can do it,
And there's still a lot to be had with that car. We're not done.
No, we're not.
We're not just calling it good. Say, oh, we're fast. We're gonna go.
No.
We're bringing it
gonna
back. We're
continue-
already working. So.
We're going to continue work, but we're not fixing the body. Just so you all know, we're not going to fix that body because I think that's an advantage.
I think so,
All
too.
you guys with them pretty bodies, come on, we're going to lay all over you.
The good thing about this division is they've got a clear-cut set of rules.
Yes.
There's not a whole lot of gray areas. So
Yeah.
everybody's 90 to 95% the same,
Yes.
other than a few pieces, unlike some of
Yes.
the other divisions we run in.
Right.
Well, good.
So you can take something like this and be competitive,
Yeah.
work on it, add parts, add pieces,
Yeah.
and be right up there with
There
it.
You're not looking at a different package. I know. Do I
No,
need to
there
switch
is
to
no
this
ad.
package?
There
Yeah.
is no ad package. This is the package you're going to run.
Right. That's
And
what makes this
if you
division
want to
so
run
good.
it, build it and bring it.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to run it, you can't run. That's what the rules should be. They've got that figured out,
Yeah.
and they've been working on that for years now to get that dialed in. So that's what makes great
And-
racing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what.
And I
makes,
want to get what's your opinion on the spec shock? I like it. I think I
I
had
have
no
not
complaints
driven
with
on the
it. Yeah.
spec shock. You're ahead of me on that. I don't know. I like the fact that it's a reasonable price shock, and if you need one, you just order it from your particular race shop. Most likely it's Race Car Engineering.
Yeah.
Not that we're sponsored by them, but that's who
Yeah.
that's who you get those parts from, or Brian Finney, or maybe Chad. I don't know if Chad can get those shocks and sell them to you because I want to give him a shout out too. But yes, it appeared to me like you guys are all on the same playing field. So now it just it comes.
It's
down
all just
to,
fine tuning stuff.
Comes down to driver, setup, tires, and a little bit of racing luck.
Well, the picture we got of the car, which I haven't received yet, but
Yeah.
that car was on the ground,
Yes.
just like the one behind it was.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yes.
you could tell that was a
Yeah.
division that's set up to race.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there ain't going to be somebody outspin somebody else or whatever. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
you'll do it.
to me, for a spectator, I mean, it was really fun to watch for a few different reasons. I mean, Dylan, his first time driving the Sportsman.
Right.
Just having the Sportsman out there for its first time, and then just seeing all the amount of cars in that class. I mean,
That's great.
yeah,
And the Prolates had a
Great field also.
That was a nice night of racing.
it was.
The pits were full. You can tell there was like a little electric in the air. That's what makes it so cool. I wanted to ask Dylan, which I haven't had a chance to. Did the car stay consistent throughout the whole run? Did it go away? Did it come?
Well, there was enough cautions to cool my tires down, so
Okay.
I could kind of dig for the 4 laps that we had,
Okay.
and then get a caution to cool my tires down. Even if I didn't have that, though, I think the car would have stayed consistent. Just the balance of the car felt really good at that point. And
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
setup wise, we got a good piece. Now it's just fine tuning a lot of the
Because
others.
normally, if you put good rubber on it, they go good for like a rabbit for like 5 to 7 laps once the tires come into their heat area, and then they kind of go away. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel better that Beefy, we know, is a solid car throughout the whole run.
But a 59-minute, 25-lap race is a little long. But with all the
Yeah.
cautions, that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did get my brakes in, so that's what I
Got a
did.
couple cigarettes in.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you know how many cautions there were?
I heard 9 or 10.
I think it was 10.
Well,
I was thinking
it was
10.
more towards the end, was it not?
Yeah, we
the
had
last-
we had a decent green flag run in the middle of, I say decent, it was like 8 or 10 laps.
Okay.
So it was kind of a lot in the beginning, a little bit of green flag, and then a lot in the end.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, again, I feel like I'm happy where we're at with the car. We definitely can make some adjustments and get the car better, and so that's what we'll do. And we're in the mix.
Yeah.
We're definitely not lap traffic. And
Yeah.
Right.
that's important to
Yeah,
me.
you're right there.
B plus, B plus.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't make it perfect, but B
No,
plus.
no. I mean,
It's a shakedown run.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean,
Top 10, I'd have been happy as heck.
I know, I was
Exactly.
I was rolling around
Me
in
too.
9th for a little bit, and I was like, wow,
This is
we're
cool.
doing
Yeah,
pretty
we're
good.
good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah. So I mean, I know that you always want to win the race for sure, but I mean, if you're starting 19th at New Smyrna, that's a tough. That's a
19th on old tires,
Yeah, that's another thing.
old car.
I know you guys are probably listening. Some of our competition. Dylan didn't have new tires on. If this kid had if he had new tires on, I feel bad for you guys. It would be. We had 2-year-old tires from Travis Eddy that gave them to us for Speed Weeks. That's the tires we had on. So there you go. I mean that's what we were running, and that's what I can tell you. This kid can get around a racetrack. He can get around a racetrack. So let's
the
move on.
guy that sets my cars up.
I'm
he's
not
all right.
bad.
He's
I'm
all
not.
right.
I kind of know what. I can't drive him as good as him, but I damn sure can set him up right.
well, congratulations to all three of you on
Thank
that
you.
because
Thank
you all did really well.
I was upset at the time not being able to finish the race because that's all I really want to do is finish. But the
No, you
reason,
wanna win.
yeah,
It's not
well,
finish.
the
Give me a-
yeah, it was a good reason to DNF, being that I couldn't get in gear. It wasn't a DNF due to crashing out or
Yes.
or
Well,
mechanical.
we got-
technically it was mechanical.
Somebody
but-
cleared themselves,
Yeah.
and then you had to lift to help them out. You're welcome. And then the 16 got to you,
Yeah.
which he couldn't stop. And then there was a 30 in the car behind him. You got cars running nose to tail.
just an
You
accordion
can't,
after that,
Yeah, you
yeah.
just can't do that. But I've already instructed you on how to handle that moving forward. So we'll continue on with that. But
Yeah, still a great race and congratulations.
Thank you.
yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish. And we'll hopefully we'll take that and build off of it, and just keep moving forward with it.
Well, with all that being said, let's move on to this past weekend's race, which was the E-Mod race.
Yes.
So we had, again, 2 cars. You drove Bobby Blake's car, the 75, David, you drove Biscuit, the 16.
Yep.
So we had another father and son race. This is like the third one, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So fill me in on that. I know we had big weather issues.
Yeah, we got to the track and going out. We were going out to practice. You were first car in line, and I was behind you. And looking out, you could just see lightning.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're not going to get a full practice. So we started practicing. I was happy with my car, so I came in, and as I'm coming in, I see the caution lights, and all I could think was, man, I hope my dad didn't spin out. That's the first thing I thought of.
Come on, man. Damn.
But
He doesn't have any faith in you.
Yeah. Well, I seen him spin out under
I
caution
drove dirt
one
a
time.
long time, man. I can drive them hung out now.
I seen you spin out under caution one time.
I did. The tires were cold as shit.
That's another podcast.
Was it in turn 2 or 4?
It was in turn 2.
So we come in, and as I'm driving into the pits, it just starts pouring.
Yeah.
So I'm climbing out of the car, getting all wet. I had wet socks. Thank you for bringing me socks, by the way.
No problem.
We're trying to get everything covered, and all I'm thinking is we're done.
We're
for
done.
Tonight.
Yeah, we're done.
Rain's coming up the trailer door, and
We were literally ankle high.
yeah.
We parked by Jim Jones. We love to park next to them. It's close to the restrooms, close to the tech shed. It's close to the concession stand, fuel, all that stuff. So we park close to there. But when it rains
It
torrential,
floods right there, yeah.
there's nowhere the water to go but right there. So literally, the 16, the 75, and the 17 were underwater basically. So yeah, it was miserable. That was, and I was amazed that they tried to continue on because there was lightning, there was water, it was flooded, the tech was flooded. My car was for some reason in the practice it does pretty good. I guess I'm not pushing it hard enough in practice, but I didn't think of I needed to change anything for practice. Did I say anything to you about changing anything?
I think we made a slight change,
Okay.
not anything major. Just
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the times on the E-mods have definitely elevated.
Yeah,
We're-
absolutely.
it's quicker now than what it used to be. So my feel for the car, I was like, okay, well this should be enough.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not enough. It's got to be quicker. So I didn't know I was in kind of bad shape or needed to make big adjustments until after the heat race. But then we had that big rain. We had to cover everything up, load everything as best we could, and then just try to find shelter for.
And
I
then
don't know,
and
was
then
it
they
an
say
hour? Was it an hour?
yeah, an
Hour
hour.
or so.
So then we only have that one practice. We have the drivers meeting. They say we're going racing.
Yeah, and I didn't want to make any more changes because I didn't want to be underwater making
Yeah.
changes to the car.
Yeah.
So we basically took our cars and moved them in front of our haulers.
Yeah.
On the other side. So that's kind of how we pitted.
Yeah.
And then it rained again.
Well, we ran the heat race, then it rained.
Okay, then it rained
So-
again.
Yeah, it was looking good there for a while, and then all of a sudden another system moved in.
Yeah, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is definitely it. We're fixing to load these race cars up. We're not going to race. And nope.
We're still
We're
still
still
digging.
racing.
So we go out for the heat race. I start third or fourth. Where'd you start at? I think every time I draw for you, I draw on the back, so I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done drawing your
I
pill.
don't run for points anymore. I just run. You know,
Yeah,
I just
you're just there.
race.
Yeah.
I just race. So I don't really care.
Yeah.
So if I start in the back and I pass cars, again, the pecking order. You kind of make that guy know, okay, I'm faster than you, so whatever. So it doesn't bother me to start back there. Just like you and the Sportsman. You made those. Now you kind of know in your head, okay, I'm faster than A, B, C, or D. These cars.
Yeah.
At least at that particular night.
Yeah.
So that didn't bother me. Everyone raced really clean. From what I remember in the heat race, I definitely felt Biscuit being super, super tight.
Yeah.
Overly tight. The same as you told me a couple weeks ago when you had to jump in it. So.
And you've been working on gremlins since the last race, really, with Biscuit.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we'll elaborate a little bit on that. I think since Biscuit has been run so much, the springs are starting to collapse. You know, it's been 2 seasons of 2 hard seasons on that car, so I think we're rating in the process of rating all the springs as of tonight to see where we're at, because I think that something is giving up.
Okay.
That's what it feels like. The frame heights and the weight and balance and all that sort of stuff seems to be in line, but something is not right. It's rolling too much on the right front. So we're working on that, trying to get that figured out. And that's something that's just changed for no reason. We haven't done anything. We haven't changed anything from whenever the last time we won.
And that's
the
from
race.
the both of us driving it too, without noticing a problem.
Yes. So it's something that's kind of inherent in the car that's going over time. And, you know, I'm sure the chassis is probably flexing just a little bit, you know. So, and that's not the worst thing in the world. I've had older cars that flex, and then they flex in the right way, and then it works well. But right now, it doesn't seem to be working for us. So we need to try to pinpoint it and fix the problem. So we made a swing at it for the heat race. It was a little better, but it didn't help us as much as I really needed it to.
Right.
And in the feature, it really showed it. In the second half of the feature, it really showed itself. It was just miserably tight for me. You know.
So going into the heat race, I started, I want to say third, got up to second pretty quickly, and
You won.
yeah, we did chase down the leader.
Yeah.
Was able to pass the leader and win it.
Yeah.
That's my second or third heat race win from this year.
Yeah.
And every time I win the heat race, I never do good in the feature. So
Don't think about it so much. Just do your thing.
yeah, so come feature time, I had to start in the rear, being that I won
Yes.
the last feature out. So started in the rear, and
Well, like you were just mentioning about the heat race, I had that, I don't know, the 39 car or whatever in front of me, and I don't know if he was like laying back or something or whatever, but he left a complete whole car length between him and the other guy. So, I mean, I got to his back bumper and I gave him a little push. I'm like, hey, if you want to leave that much hole, just get behind me, you know, because I want to get in there and race, you know. So, you can't. On a restart, you have to be tucked.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to race. If you're not, get out of the freaking way and get to the back, and then, you know, if you want to try to figure something out or whatever it is. But if you're in the top 4 or 5 cars, there is no waiting. You have to, you got to go. So that I remember that very vividly from the beginning of the heat race, and I think I ran hard with the 30.
Yeah.
What is it, 38?
38.
38, whatever.
Yeah.
So I ran hard with him. I ran hard with Curtis, and so that's kind of what I remember from the heat. But I wasn't near up front like you were.
yeah.
You had a pretty clear view of the racetrack. So you won it.
Won the heat race.
Okay.
Ended up driving back to our alternate pit, and I want to say after the heat race, it started to rain again, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we had to cover again.
Yeah.
About the time they started the big mod race. It was
yes,
about the mayhem.
that's right. They rolled big mods out, and it started pouring.
Yeah, I think that was about 8:30.
Yeah. So I figured
Probably.
again, okay, we're done. This
Yeah.
is, nope. They kept us out there.
Well, again, congrats on the heat race too,
Thank
because
you.
I know
Yeah.
that's a
It's an accomplishment.
points boost.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment, and it's a points boost, and it's good for his self-esteem and knowing that he's quick.
Right.
You know? But I'm sure those guys go back to their pits and they go to work.
Sure.
They say, well, okay, I'm tight, I'm loose, I'm this, I'm that, and they make adjustments for it. So, because that's what we do,
Yep.
you know. So then we waited, seemed like forever,
Yeah.
for our feature. And I started, I think, 6th in the feature, and you had to start last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And the feature, you guys were the last race. Of
We
the
were
night,
the
Yes.
last
I
race
think we were
after
all
all this
11.
rain
Yeah.
on the racetrack, and I'm thinking to myself, this is not good. I mean, I know there was other divisions that ran before us, but I just know that nothing good happens in the rain during racing.
Right.
But at least if you don't have rain tires. But you know, there was an issue with like cars coming onto the racetrack, pulling water up from into turn 1 and half of turn 2 as you're coming off the pits. There was water crossing the leaving, as they open the gate. So all the haulers that left while we're sitting there waiting drew water up, and there was water, tremendous amount of water on pit road coming off of turn 3. So there was a lot of areas that had me concerned, And when I was following the 112, and he was literally throwing water up on my windshield like it was raining. I'm like, they gonna let us? Are they fixing to fire us at this point? Because it's just not a good scenario. But I got my tires as clean as I could, as warm as I could, and Rick said, "You got one to go," so I knew, okay, we're going racing. We're gonna do this,
So were you seeing the same thing, Dylan, on your windshield? Or?
I was so far back, I was kind of just in my own little realm back there. But you could definitely notice all the condensation inside the cars, and on the backstretch too, where cars were crossing the pit gate, there was a big streak of water, and so kind of knowing.
So you knew coming off of 2. There may be a point where you may lose traction. You have to straighten it back up.
Well, we saw that with the other races.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was a big pedal going into turn 3 where one of the other big mods had spun.
Yeah, they took a big splash.
And they had to use a higher groove altogether. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of having to go racing like that. But I mean, we're racing for points, and Dylan's racing for points. Hindsight, if I wasn't racing for points, I don't know. It would be a tough situation whether I loaded up and didn't race. But we all decided to race and do the best we could with what we had, right? So we fired, and immediately my car went to a direct push. And from the cars in front of me, they were pushing too. They were in tough shape. I don't know how you did on the initial start. I didn't see you till maybe like lap 2 or 3. To my inside. I seen you on the inside, and I was like, okay, here he comes. He's waiting to see if anything pans out, and then you're going to go.
Yeah, kind of just taking my time. I knew the track was a little bit treacherous.
Yeah.
So taking my time, and another thing that we think the car might be down on power somewhere.
Right.
We're not quite sure where yet, but from lap times in the heat race to lap times in the feature, didn't feel right.
Right.
And time showed that, so... But was still able to drive to 4th.
Right.
4th, we'll call it.
Right. Well, and there was another element going on there. There was Rick. There was. I don't get this. I don't 100% get this. So you got guys that race there week in and week out, and they're racing for points, and it could be a close battle. Anything can happen at any time. If you don't have a car that's legal, and you just want to test your car out, get to the back. Okay, get to the back. Don't race the points leader like you're racing for the win. There's no argument here. There's no excuse for that. This guy is the points leader. You got to respect that. We would respect you if you were the points leader. Don't be in his way. Don't hold him up. He's got to come from the back to the front to try to win this race.
So we are talking about the number 38.
We're talking about a car that we haven't raced before. We don't know what.
It wasn't supposed to be out
as
there.
As far as we know, he was a legit piece. He was a legit car. And he was right. So we're racing him as a competitor.
Right.
Little did we know, at the end of the whole deal, he wasn't an E-mod.
He wasn't an E-mod.
Yeah. He wasn't. So we didn't go on the podium. We didn't. Yeah. Dylan, we have sponsors that we need to take care of. We have a lot of stuff goes into this. So I understand you want to bring your car out and you want to race, but don't affect the outcome of a race when you've got men racing for points and racing hard. If you want to test your car out, that's fantastic. I'm more than happy with anybody that can come out, get in the back, and you can just run the stopwatch. You know what you're doing. That's I'm not going to call no names, but he's an accomplished racer.
Well,
he knows what he's doing, and that's his son, and he knows how to find out what he needs out of that car. He don't need to be up there. If he's not a legal car and he's not racing for a position, he don't need to be racing us. And if I would have known that, I would have raced him totally different. I didn't know. I thought he was a legit piece.
Yeah.
Well, here's my take on that. Number one, should not have been out there in the E-Mod class to begin with.
Right.
Number two, it was known upstairs in the booth
And
because
let me interrupt you
because the spectators were told
Yeah,
that it was not
So
an
the
E-Mod.
spectators know, the racers don't know. Then he brings out a caution
Yes.
by losing pieces, and then they don't even they don't even put him to the back. They give him his spot back.
Exactly.
Listen, we're dealing with 350 horsepower. That's all we got. We got a crate motor 602. Go look it up. That's what we got with a 4-barrel carburetor. Got no more than that. It's all momentum racing. We have to get the momentum that we can. If you got a 500 or 400 or whatever horsepower car, we're not going to beat you, dude. We're not going to outrun you. We can't. Dylan's going to run all over you in the corner just like he did, and you're going to pull him down the straightaway. That's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. I don't understand. When we try to get some laps, it seems like we have to get an act of Congress to get some extra laps. They will not let us move into a different division to run extra laps. We are very transparent with what we do on every level. Why we were not told that guy was not racing with us pisses me off.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and that's my point.
I mean,
first of all, he never should have been out there.
Right.
The first minimum would have been they should have started him in the back.
Sure, start in the back.
The second minimum is when the caution happened, which he caused.
Right. You go to the back.
You should have gone to the back then too.
Back.
So instead, he's in third place, I believe, and you were fourth, and the first and second place take off. But here you are trying to battle.
And then he didn't even bother to tell Dylan, "Hey, Dylan, we have, I know they think we're all rednecks, but we do have receivers. We listen to what's going on up there in the tower. We kind of understand what's going on. We have spotters. They could have told Dylan, "Hey, Dylan, you got third. Get your butt up there to the podium." Yeah. They never said a damn
Dylan's thinking
word.
at this time, well, I got fourth.
He says, "I got fourth. I suck." He feels terrible. He's run the balls off his race car, run his tires, wore his right side tire, right rear out, trying to run this dude for nothing.
And my thought is that 38 ran after the caution. That 38 ran so many laps with you side by side, just causing
it's a
interference.
great show. It's a great show, but in the meantime, Hank and the 112 they're checking out because he's working his butt off trying to race this dude.
Yeah.
So
it really
it's aggravating.
It
is aggravating, and it should not be allowed. Period.
No.
If you're not technically legal. 100% legal as far as tech clears you, you should not be allowed to interfere with the race. Period. If you want it, I'm a huge advocate of if anybody wants a lap or needs laps to get their car straightened out, more than happy. Yeah. Go out there, just don't affect nobody. I'm out there racing with the 63 and the 70 and the 17. We're not in his zone, but we're in our zone. We don't need to be interrupted by a car that's not even on the...
Absolutely not. No.
We're racing. We're not lap traffic. We're still on the lead lap, racing for position. So I don't really have any. I don't have any sympathy for that.
No, there was absolutely no excuses for it, and it really made them look like amateur hour.
Well, it did nothing but piss us off.
It was the same thing 2 weeks ago. Exact same thing. Think about it.
Where are we going?
With the 44 car out there running with us at night.
Yeah.
Exact same thing.
Yeah. If I don't, I'll say it one more time and I won't say it no more. If you want to come out and test your car and you're not going to affect the race, I'm more than happy. Bring a 602, bring a big mod, bring a super late mod. I don't give a shit what you bring. Bring it. Just don't interfere with the guys that are racing. That's all.
Well, it's not like he didn't have a higher class that he could have tested in to begin with.
And he probably would have made more money.
Yeah.
Because how many finished? 3 or 4.
Four. He
Right.
if he would have finished the race, he would have finished 5th, which I believe paid $500 or $600.
Yeah, he'd have made more money doing that.
Well, now he made
just
nothing.
holding his own.
Yeah.
And listen, if he's legal, I'm more than happy. I'm welcoming. I don't care about competition. We're going to work
We
hard
want
on
a
our
higher
stuff.
car count. That's what
We want a higher.
we want,
Yes, because if you don't have car count, you don't have a division. I'm just saying, you have to be transparent. They never came to us. Nobody ever came to us and say, hey, listen, he's not running for a position. He's just out there running.
Right.
And we would say, okay, we'll get him out of our way. Let us. He should have started in the back. Let Dylan's. Everybody start in front of him.
Should not have been out there at all.
So it made it for a very frustrating night, not only with the rain. And I know that New Smyrna can't control the rain. They want to race. There's a lot of people that came from a lot of far places to race. I get it. I understand that. We stuck it out. All you guys were here with us, and we all stuck it out. It was miserable as shit in the pits, but we did it. But at the end of the day, when you have a bad night like that, it just makes it tough. It makes it difficult to, to put your chin up and say, okay, well, we're going to get back there. We're back next week. We're back for the truck next week. Because I told him, I said, hey, if you want to take a break, I'm okay with it. He's like, no, Dad, I'm ready to race again. So,
well, my point of view is, kudos that they got the race in, because I know this season has already been hard with rain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes, it made it harder on the drivers, but I think in general everybody did pretty good.
Drivers and fans and everybody.
But during that race, when they let the 38 in the E-Mod, that's where they dropped the ball, and that was a terrible decision.
Not only when you lose a piece on your car and you bring out a caution, you go to the back. If I lose a piece or Dylan loses a piece, I guarantee you our butts are going to the rear.
Right.
And we can't argue that. It's when
There
every
is
weekend the driver's going to say, if you cause the caution, or all parties involved in the caution, go to the rear.
We know this going forward.
Yeah.
We know this is going to happen. So I'm not picking on that particular driver. It just that particular driver had that issue. That
They should not have allowed him to be out there.
No, they should have said, hey, listen, you can do this, but you got to stay out of their way because you're technically faster.
No, I disagree. They should have said, no, you cannot be out there.
Okay. Well, I understand where you're at. I'm just looking at it from a racer's point of view. I know they want to try to generate cars and they want to try to facilitate testing, if you will.
Yeah, but there was faster classes he could have tested.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to be nice about it. I know I've been passive aggressive about it, but I want to try to understand their point of view. And I spoke to that guy during the week, his dad, and he asked me about the rules and this and that, and I kind of gave him, what the rules were. So he had a good knowledge moving forward on what. But it messed his race up.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was not going to win that race, but it messed his race up. It helped Hank in.
Congratulations to Hank, by the way.
Yeah,
Hank's
congratulations to Hank. First win in
20 years.
20 years, and he had a good heat race last time he ran, so he definitely knew he was on a roll, and then came back and then won the feature. So we want to congratulate. He's our buddy. We enjoy helping him and talking with him, and so. We want to congratulate him, and also the 112 ran a great race. His stuff was together, right on point. I didn't watch the race.
He led most of it, and then finally, after that caution, Hank got him with a five to go or so.
Yeah, so we wish we could have been up there with you, but we were battling the freaking 38 car.
Man.
I mean,
I would have liked to have seen, what could have happened.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you had enough, but it still could have been.
And I could have, I got a lot of family and sponsors that come in. They want to be on the podium. We want to know that, I'm angry coming in thinking that I finished 4th, and then when the guys come in to get my transfer, they say, oh, by the way, you finished 3rd, and I was like,
Yeah.
So
They should have let you know.
So all those people had left, and it hurts Jim Jones because we don't buy any pictures from him. I mean, it's a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It's a snowball effect. Then you're pissed off. You go to the pay window. You're upset. You translate that to the staff and whatnot. So it just could have been nipped in the bud, in my opinion.
It could have.
It could have been nipped in the bud. So, nevertheless, it is what it is, and we move on to the next race. And
got a truck. We haven't raced a truck since the beginning of the year, really. So
right,
got to get focused on the truck.
Right.
See if we can't get a good run with that.
Right.
So.
And with that, with the E-Mod race, I mean, you won the heat. You
won
did,
the heat.
You
Third
did actually
feature.
come in third.
Right.
So
Yes.
I mean, great points night again. So
Yep.
congratulations.
It was solid.
overall.
It was a solid night.
Yeah.
And Rick spotted for me, and we got the radio stuff figured out. I could hear you clearly throughout the whole run. I heard you smoking the cigarette out there. I was like, listen, don't hit anything.
Yeah. He said, keep your hand away from the mic. No problem.
So, I could hear him plating a big old drag. I wasn't doing nothing worth it or talking to anyways, but I had a good race with old Dale Klauser and
Klauser?
Dale Howard. I'm sorry, Dale Howard. Will Klauser used to be a major competitor, but Dale Howard, and we talked to Doug Howard today, and he said he gave him chills to see
deja vu. He said
the old 63 and the 16. We're going back probably 25 years or better.
Mid 90s, right?
Since
Longer than that, almost 30.
yeah, since I came in, because the Howards used to rule the Sportsman division. Mm-hmm. They were the guys in that old Chevelle, and then they had this young upstart named LeBeaus come in there with this Camaro, and all of a sudden, I started nipping away at them. But so it was kind of nice to see two old guys racing clean together.
Yeah.
And we were racing as hard as we could. It looked ridiculous. I'm pushing, he's pushing, we're sideways. We're doing all we can do, but I kept it off the wall, thank goodness. I did get around them, and I put some distance on him, but the caution came out, and then that put him right back on me.
Yeah.
I couldn't hold him off.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I couldn't hold Curtis off.
Yeah.
They were nose to tail, and when I got loose, I was on the high side. They both freight trained me, and I was in. That was it.
Well, we do have to give you a special congratulations
Didn't get
and a
lapped.
high five.
I didn't
not
get lapped.
You
Well,
finished on the
Dylan
way.
wasn't in his form, in his normal form, so he might have lapped me if he didn't get held up. But yeah, I feel better about not getting lapped by Dylan.
Well, maybe no more lap daddy.
Yeah, maybe no more. I listen. I got some shit last time about not running hard. I heard some stuff. I'm out there running him back. Can I say it?
Say it.
I was running hard. I ran hard. I ran my ass off that race, and I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
If you see me after the race, I'm sweaty.
If people get close to Biscuit and see how nasty and ugly that car is, just the fact that you're not wrecking it every single lap's impressive.
I'm telling you, I ran that car as hard as I could, kept it off the wall, kept it off the inside wall. I just didn't have the right piece. Yeah. So when someone from the outside wants to come in and say, "Oh, well, this guy was out just running around in back doing nothing, and this kid was out there," no, man, I was running hard. I have a lot of pride in what I do, and I run as hard as I can. Mm-hmm. Now, if I don't have the car, I'm not going to wreck the car.
Right.
I'm going to do everything I can but wreck the car. But I'm going to give you 100. I'm going to give you 100%. Now, my 100% may be different than his 100%. Okay, it is what it is. I'm not 19 years old and
I'm 18.
18 years old.
And you know how old I am.
I'm not that guy. I'm older. I got a little more experience. I know what that wall feels like when I hit it.
I know what it feels
and
like too.
I got to go to work the next day. And I got more. So there's definitely as you start to mature and get older as a race car driver, it changes for you. Put it
A
that
racer's
way.
a racer. A competitor is still a competitor.
Right.
You're always gonna be competitive.
Yes.
But you might just be older and maybe a little bit wiser because you want to bring the car back on one piece.
Yes, and that's what I did the last time. That's what I did this time. And when I get in again, I'm going to do the same dang on thing that I did this. I'm going to run as hard as I can and keep it off the wall. That's what I do. If he can do it better than me, hey,
no one can tell me you can't drive because you're who taught me how to drive.
I know, but you'll find this as you get older. It changes. Your perception changes. Your view, your eyesight changes. Your reflexes changes, and you're just not the same as you used to be. So you're the younger version, but I don't like it when people talk crap that I just walked around out there. I don't. If I'm in a starting park, I'll let you know I'm starting in parking. You'll definitely know I'm starting in parking because I'll be slow and off the pace. I was racing, but I just didn't have the car to give me what I needed. So I intend on making it better. We got every spring out of biscuit right now. We got every shock out of biscuit. We got that car tore apart. I am committed to making that car better, and the E-Mons have raised the level. As we said, every time we get here on this podcast, E-Mons are getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
These older cars have got to step their game up.
Right.
And so that's just where we're at. And so we'll definitely get there, or we'll get another car, one or the other. I mean, that's just how it's going to have to be. What does Bobby say? 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
6 years. The car's flexed out. It's walled in. They're no good anymore. So I don't know where Biscuit is on that level.
60 years probably.
Yeah, she's an old car. She's an old car, but I think she's bent in the right way. But
it did get faster after I hit the wall the first time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you needed to hit the wall, so you needed to feel that and get it over
yeah.
with.
My right front ended up in the infield.
Oh God, I know. But that's all part of the learning curve, So I just wanted to just address that I'm out there just cruising around. I'm not, I'm going out there as hard as I can go, and
we know you.
The level,
we know better.
The level has changed. The bar is raised. These kids, Dill and 41 and the 112 and this 38. I don't know if he's going to come back as a legal piece. These bars have changed. These kids are fast. So us old guys got to step our game up. We got to get out of our comfort zone and drive differently than what we're used to driving.
Right.
So that's my take on that. So I'm glad you give me a minute to vent on that deal.
A minute.
Well, overall, guys, congratulations. It was a great 2 weeks. Congrats on the new car, Rick.
Thank you.
And congrats on everything you've been doing. You've been driving the heck out of these cars, and it's good to see.
Yeah, thank you.
And
that's my goal.
You got a good tool man right
That's
there.
my goal. That's my goal is to keep them driving.
Yeah.
Keep them in a car, and if you do that, he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Try to quality stuff, not.
And speaking of which, before we go,
Yes.
you took my brother-in-law Rob
did.
for a ride for his
Daytona,
birthday
yeah.
at Daytona.
Well, he took him for a ride in his airplane.
That is
That's
true,
right,
yeah.
that's right.
During our
That
off week.
and I hope you add some of that to the podcast.
We can do
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So return the favor and gave him a ride in a race.
And that's a biplane, a Acrosport 2, I believe,
Yeah.
that he built from scratch. It took him like 26
Really?
years, but that's working on it off and on.
Dylan said he almost shit himself when you pulled up over those trees. You must have done that 100 times, I imagine, coming up over those trees. You knew exactly where to pull back and whatever. But yeah, he said, "Dad, it feels different. It feels different."
different kind of G-force.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So he got a chance to give Gish a ride and also Randy a ride.
Yeah.
So
very cool. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
he's become quite the attraction at Daytona, But I think it really helps him stay current.
Sure.
And so I couldn't imagine not giving him the opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Well, you got to keep that feel for speed. So.
right. So
Well, with that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for everything, and don't forget to check out all of our Facebook pages and the group, Fans of Dylan LeBeau group, LeBeau Racing,
right.
and you also have some
Instagram and YouTube.
and Instagram.
Yep, Dylan LeBeau 16 on both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So don't forget to check us out, like, subscribe, ring the bell, everything else that you do. And with that,
Yeah. Well, we want to race hard, race clean. Go to the races. No matter what track's close to you, go ahead and support your local racing. That's important for us to continue to do what we do what we love. We need you guys in the stands or in the pits or help a race car out. Doesn't have to be necessarily ours. If you want to help us out, we're more than happy, but help a racer out, and we'll see you at the races.
Great weekend for it. Family fun night, $5 to get in.
Yeah,
coming
it's,
up,
it's
right?
a reasonable
Yeah.
night.
And a spectator race.
Spectator race.
Oh,
Yeah,
the spectator
baby.
race is the best.
Bring your Corvette.
Oh, that's
Especially your girlfriend.
that is the best. You're gonna put the BMW in there? I know what she's saying. No, that's amazing. So anyways, race hard, race clean.
yeah, well said, David. Thank you all.
Loki Dog.